I never thought this would be my life, sitting on the edge of my bed, staring at a burner phone that had just shattered my world. My wife, Lisa, and I had been together for nearly a decade. We had built a life that included a modest house, a couple of dogs, and all the little routines that come with being a couple. At least that's what I thought until the cracks started to show. It began small, just whispers of discontent. Lisa started coming home late from work more often, claiming that her boss had her on some special project. I didn't think much of it. She was ambitious, and I admired that. Plus, she was always so careful about her phone conversations, stepping out of the room or lowering her voice whenever I walked in. I chalked it up to her being private, but in retrospect, I see the signs that I was too blind to notice. There were other oddities, too. She had become increasingly critical of my habits, nitpicking about the way I left my shoes by the door or how I forgot to take out the trash. I remember feeling this gnawing frustration. I'd ask her what was wrong, and she'd wave it off, insisting she was just stressed from work. The emotional distance was palpable. It all came to a head one night when I decided to surprise her. I left work early, excited to cook her favorite meal and maybe even indulge in a little romance. But as I pulled into the driveway, I noticed her car was parked at an odd angle, and the garage door was still closed. My heart sank, but I brushed off the gnawing feeling in the pit of my stomach. I walked inside and called out her name. No answer. My heart raced as I moved through the house looking for any sign of her. Then I saw it, the faint glow of her phone lying in the passenger seat of her car. I wouldn't have thought twice if I hadn't seen it before. The burner phone, a cheap one she had claimed was just for emergencies, but why would she need two phones? I picked it up, hands trembling, and turned it on. My blood ran cold as I unlocked it. There were messages, countless messages from a name I didn't recognize. My heart pounded in my ears as I read through the exchanges filled with inside jokes, flirtatious emojis, and plans for meeting up. I had stumbled into a nightmare I never imagined. The world around me blurred as reality set in. I had to confront her. I had to know how deep this betrayal ran. I felt a mix of anger, hurt, and confusion. I was a mess, but I had to stay composed. I had to be ready for whatever excuses she was going to throw my way. The thought of her lying to my face made my stomach churn. When Lisa finally came home, her smile faded as soon as she saw the look on my face. I confronted her, holding the burner phone like evidence in a courtroom. Her reaction was telling. She froze for a moment, and I could see the gears turning in her head, desperately trying to come up with a believable excuse. "Where did you get that?" she stammered, her voice dripping with feigned ignorance. "Don't play games with me, Lisa. You know exactly what this is," I snapped. I could feel my heart racing, adrenaline coursing through my veins. Her eyes darted around the room, and I could see the panic set in. "I can explain, it's not what you think," she insisted, but I could tell she was lying. The confrontation spiraled downward, her excuses coming so fast I could barely keep up. She talked about how it was just someone to vent to, how she needed an escape from the stress of her job, and that it meant nothing. But all I could hear was the betrayal echoing in my mind. As the arguments escalated, I felt my heart shatter. The love I thought we had was now tainted by her deceit. I wanted to scream, to throw the phone at her, but instead I felt like I was crumbling inside. How could she do this to us? How could she be so selfish? The emotional toll was too much to bear. I felt angry, betrayed, and utterly heartbroken. I had trusted her completely, and now I was left questioning everything we built together. What had I missed? What had I done wrong? I knew I had to make a decision, but at that moment the pain was suffocating. It felt like I was standing on a cliff, teetering between my love for her and the betrayal that cut so deeply. The next steps weighed heavily on my mind, but I was trapped in a whirlwind of emotions, and I wasn't sure how to navigate through them. In my mind, a decision loomed. Would I fight for the love we had, or was it time to say goodbye? The answer felt elusive, hidden beneath layers of hurt and anger, and I was terrified of what lay ahead. The confrontation dragged on into the night. Lisa kept trying to spin her story, pleading with me to believe her. "It was just a fling," she shouted, her voice breaking. "You know how stressful work has been. I was just looking for someone to talk to." The sheer absurdity of her words fueled my anger. She was trying to downplay what had happened between her and this mystery man. My gut twisted at the thought that she had not only cheated on me but seemed to be dismissing it as a minor inconvenience. Just a fling. I shot back, throwing the burner phone onto the coffee table between us. You think that's nothing? You think this is just some high school crush? You've been lying to me for months. Her face twisted with a mix of guilt and irritation. You don't understand. You're always so busy with work and I felt so alone. I needed someone to talk to who would listen. Those words cut deeper than any knife could. I felt like I was drowning in my anguish. She had justified her actions with a flimsy excuse, trying to make me feel guilty for her betrayal. I had always supported her ambitions, even when it meant long hours at the office, and yet here she was painting me as the villain in her story. Alone? I asked, my voice trembling. How could you feel alone when we built a life together? I've been right here, Lisa. I've given you everything. She looked down, her expression shifting from anger to something that resembled remorse, but it was too late. The trust had shattered, and no amount of backpedaling could fix it. I saw the flicker of realization in her eyes that she had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. I never meant for it to go this far, she said, her tone softer now, almost pleading. It was just supposed to be a distraction. Distraction, I echoed, incredulous. You think that's how relationships work? You can't just use someone like a toy and throw them away when you're done. She opened her mouth to respond, but I raised my hand to stop her. No, just stop. I don't want to hear any more excuses. You've been lying to me and I can't just forget that. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming surge of emotion. I was angry, yes, but beneath it all was a deep sense of sadness. The woman I loved, the woman I had shared my life with, was standing before me, a stranger. I was looking at the remnants of a relationship that had been sanctified by trust, and that trust was now obliterated. After a long silence, I took a breath, trying to steady myself. I don't know what to do now. I thought we were in this together, but it feels like you've made a choice. You chose him over us. Her expression faltered as if the weight of my words was finally settling in. I, I didn't mean to hurt you, she said, her voice trembling. I was just so lost. Lost, I repeated, now feeling a mixture of pity and anger. You didn't just lose your way, Lisa. You ran away from our life together. You made a choice to betray me. I needed space to think. I was overwhelmed by the emotional storm that was wreaking havoc in my mind. I told her I needed to be alone, that I couldn't look at her right now without feeling sick. She begged me to stay to talk it through, but I turned and walked away, feeling the weight of betrayal dragging me down. I spent the night on the couch, wrestling with my thoughts. The familiar comforts of home now felt like a prison. All around me were reminders of our life together, the framed photos of our wedding, the little mementos from vacations, the shared dreams we had built. It all felt tainted now, as if those moments had been a lie. I couldn't stop replaying every moment in my head, every laugh shared, every promise exchanged. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had been living in a fantasy, oblivious to the reality of her infidelity. It was early morning when I finally drifted into a restless sleep. My dreams were filled with images of happier times, but they morphed into nightmares as Lisa's betrayal seeped through. I woke up feeling even more lost and disoriented, as if I'd been thrown into a different reality overnight. The next few days were a blur. I forced myself to go to work, but I was barely functioning. My colleagues noticed something was off, but I couldn't find the words to explain. I felt trapped in a bubble of pain, and the world outside felt so distant. Eventually, I decided that I needed to face the situation head-on. I had to confront the reality of what had happened. I couldn't hide from it any longer. I needed answers, clarity, and a way to move forward, whatever that might look like. I returned home with a resolve to talk to Lisa again, but this time it would be different. I wasn't going to let her dictate the narrative. I needed to take control of my own story, to make a decision that honored my own feelings, not just hers. Would I fight for my marriage or choose to walk away? The weight of that decision felt like a mountain on my shoulders, and I knew I had to find the strength to climb it, no matter what lay at the top. The moment I stepped into the house, I could feel the tension in the air. Lisa was sitting on the couch, her face pale and drawn. She looked up as I entered, and for a brief second I saw a flicker of hope in her eyes. It was quickly replaced by resignation as I took a seat across from her, the distance between us feeling more like an abyss. "I've been thinking about everything," I started, my voice steady but laced with emotion. "I don't even know where to begin, but we need to talk about what happened. This can't just be swept under the rug." Lisa nodded, her eyes welling with tears. I know I messed up and I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for it to happen this way." "Stop," I interrupted, feeling the anger bubbling up again. "You keep saying you're sorry, but that doesn't change what you did. Sorry doesn't fix the mess you made." Her shoulders slumped, and I could see she was struggling with her own guilt. "I didn't think it would go that far. It was just supposed to be harmless flirting. I didn't mean to fall for him." "Harmless flirting," I repeated, incredulous. "You think that's how this works? You were sending him messages, planning to meet him. You were cheating on me, Lisa. That's not harmless." I know," she said, her voice breaking. "I was just so lost, and I don't expect you to forgive me. I need you to understand why I did it." "I can't understand how you could betray me like this," I shot back, the hurt spilling over. "You had options. You could have come to me, talked to me about how you were feeling. Instead, you chose to sneak around and lie." Lisa opened her mouth to respond, but I could see the realization dawning on her. This wasn't just about a fling. This was about our relationship, our trust, and how she had shattered it all in one reckless moment. "I think we need to talk about what this means," I said, my voice firmer now. "I can't keep pretending everything is fine when it's not. We need to decide what happens next." "I want to make it work," she said, desperation flooding her tone. "I love you. I know I messed up, but I want to fix this. I'll do whatever it takes." "Love isn't enough anymore, Lisa," I replied, feeling a weight settle in my chest. "You've broken my trust, and I don't know if I can get that back. I don't know if I even want to try." Her face fell, and I could see the panic rising within her. "Please, just give me a chance. I'll go to counseling. I'll change. I won't let this happen again." "Counseling?" I scoffed, the bitterness creeping into my voice. "You think a few sessions with a therapist can erase what you've done? I don't even know if I can look at you the same way again." I took a breath, trying to control the whirlwind of emotions spiraling within me. "I need time," I finally said, my voice quieter now. "I need to think about everything. This isn't something we can fix overnight." Lisa nodded, her expression crumbling. "I understand, just know that I'm here and I'm willing to fight for us." I stood up, my mind racing with thoughts of what to do next. I felt so trapped between love and betrayal. I walked out of the living room, feeling like a stranger in my own home. The silence was deafening, and I realized that I was standing at a crossroads. I took a few days to process everything. I knew I couldn't rush into a decision without considering the consequences. I started by talking to friends, seeking advice from those who had been through similar experiences. Some urged me to leave, citing how trust could never truly be rebuilt after such a betrayal. Others suggested that if I still loved her, I should explore the possibility of working through it together. But love was complicated. I spent my days distracted, replaying every interaction, every moment that had led us to this point. My heart ached as I thought of the life we had built, the dreams we had shared. Could I really throw all that away, or was there hope to salvage it? On a particularly quiet evening, I found myself sitting on the back porch, staring up at the stars. I felt so small, so disconnected from the world around me. My mind wandered to what life might look like without her. Would I feel relief or sadness? It was during one of those nights of contemplation that clarity began to form. I realized I needed to confront my own feelings and what I wanted for my future. I needed to be true to myself, regardless of the outcome. The next morning, I made a decision. I would sit down with Lisa and lay it all out on the table. I had to be honest about where I stood and what I needed. I was scared, but I knew that avoiding the conversation would only delay the inevitable. As I prepared myself for the talk, I felt a mix of apprehension and determination. I had to be honest about my feelings. I owed myself that much. It wouldn't be easy, but it was necessary. After everything we had been through, I knew I had to find my voice, even if it led to a painful conclusion. In that moment, I made a silent promise to myself. No matter what happened next, I would prioritize my own emotional Well-being, I would not let fear dictate my choices. I had to reclaim my power in this situation, whatever the outcome may be. With my heart pounding, I walked back inside, ready to face Lisa, ready to lay it all bare. I found Lisa in the kitchen, her back turned to me as she poured herself a cup of coffee. The warm light filtered through the windows, casting soft shadows across the room. It felt surreal to see her going about her morning routine as if nothing had happened, as if our entire world hadn't just been upended. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the conversation ahead. "Lisa, we need to talk," I said, my voice low but firm. She turned, her expression shifting from casual to concerned as she set her mug down. "Okay, I'm listening," she replied, her eyes wide, a mixture of hope and fear dancing across her features. I motioned for her to sit at the table, and I took a seat across from her, the space between us feeling heavier than ever. "I've thought a lot about everything that's happened," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. "And I need to be honest about where I stand. We can't keep pretending that things are fine or that we can just move past this." Lisa nodded, her expression serious. "I understand. I just want you to know how deeply sorry I am. I never wanted to hurt you, and I'll do anything to make this right." "Maybe that's the problem," I said, shaking my head. "You think saying you're sorry is enough, but it's not just about feeling bad for what you did. It's about the trust that's been shattered." I paused, gathering my thoughts. "I can't just ignore the fact that you chose to be with someone else. I can't ignore the lies." "I know," she whispered, tears brimming in her eyes. "I can't change what I did, but I want to change myself. I want to fix this. I love you." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. Love was supposed to mean something, but could it really be enough to erase the pain? Love isn't the only thing that matters in a relationship, Lisa. Trust is just as important, if not more so. You broke that trust, and I don't know if I can ever fully believe you again." Lisa leaned forward, her hands clasped tightly together. "What can I do to prove myself? What do you need from me?" I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my emotions pressing down on me. "I need to know that you understand the gravity of what you did. This isn't just about you and your feelings. It's about us and the life we built together. I need you to be honest with yourself and with me, even if it hurts." She nodded, her expression earnest. "I promise I'll be honest from now on. I'll do whatever it takes to rebuild your trust." "Rebuilding trust isn't something that happens overnight," I replied, my voice strained. "It takes time, and I'm not sure how much time I'll need. I need space to process everything. I can't just jump back into this as if nothing happened." Lisa's face fell, but she didn't argue. "I understand. Just know that I'm here, ready to support you however you need." "We need to figure out what happens next," I continued. "I've thought about counseling, but I'm not sure if I'm ready for that yet. I need to explore my own feelings before I can commit to anything like that." "Whatever you decide, I'll respect it," she said softly, and I could see the pain on her face. "I don't know if I want to keep trying," I admitted. "I don't know if I can be with someone who hurt me so deeply, but I also don't want to make a rash decision out of anger." Lisa's eyes shimmered with tears, but she held my gaze. "I get it. Just please don't make any decisions yet. Give yourself time to think, to feel." I nodded, the gravity of my feelings settling heavily in my chest. "I will, but I need you to understand that things can't just go back to the way they were. We have to redefine what our relationship looks like, and that might mean making some tough choices." "Whatever it takes," she said, her voice steadier now. "I'm willing to put in the work, even if it takes a long time." As I sat there staring at her, I felt a mixture of sadness and hope. I wanted to believe that we could make it through this, that we could come out stronger on the other side. But the doubts lingered, gnawing at me like a persistent itch I couldn't scratch. After our conversation, things shifted in the house. It was quiet, tense, and awkward. I could feel the weight of unspoken words hanging in the air, and it was suffocating. We went through the motions of daily life, but every interaction was laced with caution. I found myself watching her closely, searching for signs of remorse or any indication that she was truly committed to changing. I started spending more time away from home, burying myself in work and distractions. I needed to clear my head and gain some perspective, and keeping busy helped to dull the aching pain. I leaned on friends for support, sharing my story and pouring out my frustrations. Their encouragement was a lifeline, reminding me that I wasn't alone in this struggle. But as the days turned into weeks, I found myself in a constant battle between wanting to forgive and the nagging fear that I would always feel betrayed. I began to question what our future would look like. If I stayed, could I ever truly trust her again? Would I always wonder if she was lying or sneaking around? One night I came home late after grabbing dinner with a friend. Lisa was waiting for me, her face a mixture of anxiety and determination. "Can we talk?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "Sure," I replied, feeling my heart race as I prepared for whatever she was about to say. "I've been doing a lot of thinking," she began, her eyes locking onto mine. "I want to be honest about everything, not just what happened with him. I want to address the issues in our marriage that led me to seek comfort elsewhere." I felt a rush of emotions swirl within me, curiosity, apprehension, and a flicker of hope. "Okay, I'm listening." "I've realized that I haven't been the best partner," she admitted, her voice steadying. "I let my stress consume me, and instead of leaning on you, I pushed you away. I started to feel isolated, and I didn't know how to reach out for help." "That's not an excuse for what you did, Lisa," I replied, feeling the anger bubbling beneath the surface. "But it's good that you're reflecting on it." "I know it's not an excuse," she insisted, her eyes pleading. "I'm not trying to justify my actions, but I want to take responsibility for my part in all of this. I want to work on being a better partner for you." I could see the sincerity in her eyes, but the question remained, was it enough? I didn't want to hold on to anger, but could I truly let go of the past? The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, and I was terrified of making the wrong choice. And yet, beneath the fear, a small part of me wanted to believe in the possibility of redemption. I had to decide whether I was willing to take a leap of faith, not just for her, but for myself too. Would I hang on to the hope that we could rebuild our relationship, or would I let the pain define my future? As I sat there, contemplating the weight of my feelings, I knew one thing for certain. Whatever decision I made next, it would have to come from a place of honesty and strength. It was time to reclaim my voice in this tumultuous journey, whatever that might look like. The time for action was approaching, and I had to be ready to face whatever came next. As Lisa and I sat across from each other, our conversation delving deeper into the roots of our issues, I felt a strange mixture of emotions. It was both cathartic and agonizing. I had never imagined that a moment of vulnerability could also feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, peering down into an uncertain abyss. "Let's be honest," I said, trying to keep my voice steady despite the tremor of anxiety. "We've ignored a lot of our problems for too long. This isn't just about your infidelity, it's about our whole relationship. We've let things fester, and now it's come to a head." Lisa nodded, her expression earnest. "You're right. I've been so focused on my career and my own stress that I didn't see how it was affecting us. I neglected our connection, and I'm so sorry for that." As difficult as it was to acknowledge, there was a part of me that appreciated her honesty. Maybe this was a chance for both of us to confront our shortcomings and begin to heal. But the question remained, could we really rebuild what was broken? "I think we need to start by redefining our expectations," I suggested, trying to approach this with an open mind. "We need to be clear about what we each want and need from this relationship moving forward. What do you think?" "I agree," she said, her eyes brightening with hope. "I want us to have open communication. We can't be afraid to talk about our feelings anymore. I want to share my struggles with you, not distance myself." "I want that too," I replied, feeling a flicker of warmth amidst the heaviness. "But we also need to set boundaries. Trust is earned, and I need to establish those boundaries for my own peace of mind. It's not going to be easy." "I'm willing to do whatever it takes," she insisted, her sincerity shining through. "I know I can't change the past, but I want to work hard to earn your trust back. I will be transparent about everything, even if it's uncomfortable." There was something about her commitment that struck a chord with me. I could see that she was genuinely remorseful and eager to change, but I also knew that words alone wouldn't fix anything. We needed actions to back them up, and I had to be prepared for the possibility that she might falter. "Let's start with small steps," I suggested. "Maybe we can commit to having regular check-ins, just to talk about how we're feeling and where we're at. If something bothers us, we need to address it right away instead of letting it fester. Absolutely, she agreed, a look of determination on her face. I want to be open and honest moving forward, no more hiding. I'll share my struggles at work, my insecurities, everything. I could feel the tension between us begin to ease, a glimmer of hope sparking in the dark cloud that had hung over our heads for weeks. Good, and I'll do the same. I need you to know that I'm still hurt. It's going to take time for me to process everything. I understand, Lisa said softly. I'll be patient. I know I've hurt you deeply, and I'll do everything I can to support you through this, no matter how long it takes. As we talked, I realized that perhaps we could find our way back to each other, but it wouldn't be simple. The road ahead was lined with challenges, and I needed to be prepared for the ups and downs that would come with rebuilding our relationship. We both had to commit to the work required to heal. In the days that followed, we began to implement our plan. We had regular check-ins, talking openly about our emotions, our fears, and the underlying issues that had contributed to the rift in our relationship. It felt like peeling back layers of an onion, painful at times, but necessary for growth. I also noticed changes in Lisa. She was more attentive and engaged, making an effort to include me in her life rather than pushing me away. I could see her making strides to rebuild my trust, and it made me reconsider the possibility of forgiveness. Slowly, I started to let my guard down, but there were moments where the weight of betrayal would crash over me like a wave, threatening to pull me back into despair. One night, as we were cuddled up on the couch watching a movie, I found myself leaning into her warmth, feeling a flicker of the intimacy we had once shared. It was a reminder of what we had lost, but also what we might reclaim. I could feel the tension easing, and I began to believe that maybe we could emerge from this stronger than before. But just as I was beginning to feel hopeful, a nagging doubt crept into my mind. It was a small voice whispering that I needed to be vigilant, that I couldn't let my guard down completely. Trust was a fragile thing, and I had to protect my heart. That doubt transformed into fear as I realized I would need to confront that fear head-on. One day, as I was scrolling through my phone, I came across a message that made my heart race. It was from Lisa's work colleague, the same one she had mentioned during our discussions about her stress. The message was casual, just checking in on her about a project, but the timing felt suspicious. My heart sank as I felt that old, familiar surge of anxiety wash over me. I took a moment to breathe deeply and calm myself before I confronted Lisa. I knew I had to approach this without jumping to conclusions. We had committed to open communication, and I needed to uphold that promise. "Can we talk?" I asked, my voice steady. "Of course," she replied, looking up from her laptop. I took a deep breath, choosing my words carefully. "I received a message from someone at your office today, and I just wanted to ask how you feel about your relationship with your colleagues." Her expression shifted slightly, and I could see her processing the question. "I mean, we work together a lot, but it's just professional. Why do you ask?" "Because I've noticed the way you talk about them, and I just want to make sure there's nothing lingering. I'm trying to be open, but I need to know I can trust you completely," I said, locking eyes with her. "I promise it's just work. I've been focused on our discussions and rebuilding our relationship." "I'd never want to jeopardize that," she assured me, her sincerity palpable. But there was a lingering unease I couldn't shake. I wanted to believe her, but I feared the shadows of doubt were creeping back in. I had to be honest with myself about my feelings, even if it brought discomfort. "I need you to understand that I'm still healing," I said, my voice firm yet vulnerable. "It's going to take time for me to get past this, and I need your patience. I just want to feel secure in what we're building." Lisa reached out, taking my hand in hers. "I'm here for you. I'll keep proving to you that you can trust me again. I don't want to lose you." That night, as we lay in bed together, I felt a mix of anxiety and cautious optimism. The journey ahead would be challenging, but perhaps we could navigate it together. I could feel the flicker of hope igniting within me again, but I was prepared for the struggles that lay ahead. Rebuilding trust was not an overnight journey. It took patience, effort, and an unwavering commitment to honesty. With the weight of our past still fresh, I made a promise to myself. I would not let fear dictate my choices. I would forge ahead, ready to embrace whatever came next, armed with the knowledge that this was a chance to reshape our future, even if it remained uncertain. As the days turned into weeks, Lisa and I continued our journey of rebuilding. Each conversation we had was a mix of vulnerability and honesty, and I could see the effort she was making to show me that she meant what she said. I felt the distance between us beginning to close, but there were still moments where the shadows of doubt would creep in, reminding me of the betrayal that had shattered our trust. One day, after a particularly difficult conversation about our future, I found myself sitting alone in the backyard, watching the sun set behind the trees. I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders as I contemplated the complexities of love, forgiveness, and the fragility of trust. I had opened my heart again, but the fear of being hurt was a constant companion. That evening, Lisa joined me outside, sensing my turmoil. "Hey," she said softly, taking a seat beside me. "I know things are still hard, but I want you to know I'm here. I'm committed to this, and I don't ever want to take you for granted again." I glanced at her, searching for sincerity in her eyes. "I appreciate that," I replied, my voice steady. "I'm trying to move forward, but I still have moments where I second-guess everything. I'm scared of being blindsided again." "I get it," she said, her expression earnest. "I know I've caused you pain, and I never want to see you hurt again. I want to earn your trust back, but I also want you to feel safe in our relationship. I'm here for the long haul." Those words struck a chord within me. I wanted to believe that we could create a new foundation built on honesty, respect, and a commitment to each other. But could I truly let go of the past? As the weeks wore on, I began to notice subtle changes in our relationship. Lisa was more engaged and present. She made an effort to include me in her life, and I started to feel the warmth of intimacy return. We found joy in small moments, whether it was sharing a meal, going for walks, or simply watching a movie together. There was a sense of familiarity that slowly began to overshadow the hurt. But I also knew that the road to healing was not a straight line. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, I noticed a message pop up on Lisa's phone. It was from her colleague, a friendly exchange that didn't seem suspicious, but anxiety flooded me nonetheless. "Who's that?" I asked, trying to keep my tone neutral. "It's just Mark from work," she said, glancing at her phone and then back at me. "We're working on a project together and he was just checking in." I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. "You sure it's just work? I don't want to feel like I'm in the dark again." "Of course," she replied, her voice steady. "I promise you it's nothing more. I want you to know that I'm fully committed to us. I'd never put us in jeopardy again." I looked into her eyes, searching for any hint of deception. I wanted to believe her, but the doubt lingered like a shadow. "I just need you to be honest with me, Lisa. If anything changes, I want to know about it." "I will," she assured me, and I could see the sincerity in her eyes. "I want to build a future together, and I won't let anything come between us." That night, as we lay in bed, I felt a mix of apprehension and hope. The fear of betrayal still lingered, but I was beginning to realize that I couldn't carry that burden forever. Trust was a fragile thing, but it was also something that could be rebuilt over time. And so I made a choice. I would focus on the present, on the steps we were taking together. I would allow myself to be vulnerable, to embrace the possibility of love again. It wouldn't be easy, and there would be bumps along the way, but I was willing to put in the work, both for myself and for Lisa. As the weeks turned into months, we continued our journey. We explored counseling together, which helped us communicate more effectively and address the underlying issues that had contributed to our struggles. I began to see Lisa not just as the woman who had hurt me, but as a partner committed to growth and change. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, I turned to her. "I want you to know that I see the effort you're making," I said, my voice filled with warmth. "I appreciate it, and it means a lot to me." She smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "Thank you. I'm committed to us, and I'll always fight for our relationship." In that moment, I felt a sense of hope blooming within me. Perhaps we could heal, perhaps we could move forward. I understood that trust would take time, but I was willing to take that journey together. As I reflected on everything that had transpired, the pain, the heartache, the struggle, I realized that this experience had taught me invaluable lessons about love and resilience. I learned that relationships are not just about the good times, they're about navigating the storms together. I also learned the importance of self-worth and honesty. I understood that it was okay to set boundaries and communicate my needs, and that love was a choice made every day. As we sat together, I held her hand, feeling the warmth and connection that had begun to flourish again. This was our new beginning, a chance to redefine our relationship and create a stronger bond. It would take work and dedication, but I was ready to embrace it. Together, we would face whatever challenges lay ahead, united in our commitment to rebuild and grow. And with that, I felt the fear begin to dissipate, making way for the promise of tomorrow.